Ladies and gentlemen, my beloved brothers and sisters, today we gather to explore one of the most profound principles of life. It's a principle that challenges the very fabric of how many of us have been conditioned to think. It's a message that carries with it both a simplicity that can be grasped by a child and a depth that will take a lifetime to fully comprehend. That principle is the art of being happy alone. In a world where the company of others is often placed on a pedestal, where relationships, social interactions, and connections are deemed the pinnacle of fulfillment, I stand before you today to tell you something that may seem counterintuitive. True happiness does not begin with someone else. It begins within you. It is the peace, the joy, the fulfillment that is birthed from a place deep inside, a place that no one else can touch. It is the fountain of life that flows not from external circumstances, but from the core of your being. And I am here to tell you that until you learn to be happy alone, you will never truly understand what it means to be happy with others. Many of us spend our lives seeking validation, approval, and fulfillment from external sources. We look for meaning in relationships, jobs, material wealth, or the opinions of others. But the problem with this approach is that all these things, people, possessions, status, are fleeting. They can change, disappear, or be taken away. And if our happiness is tied to them, then our happiness becomes as fragile as the things we are depending on. Let me say this: there is no greater bondage than to tie your happiness to the approval of others. When your joy is dependent on someone else, you have given them the keys to your heart, and you have made them the gatekeepers of your peace. And that is a dangerous place to be. Because people are imperfect. People will fail you. People will have their own struggles, their own limitations, their own seasons of life where they may not be able to give you what you need. And if your joy is contingent on their ability to meet your needs, you will find yourself constantly in a state of dissatisfaction. But when you learn to be happy alone, when you learn to cultivate joy, peace, and contentment from within, you become unshakable. You become a person who is no longer tossed to and fro by the changing winds of life. You become rooted, grounded, anchored in something deeper than external circumstances. And it is this kind of happiness that I want to talk to you about today. You see, being happy alone is not about isolating yourself from others. It's not about building walls around your heart or retreating into solitude to avoid the pain of relationships. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is developing a sense of inner wholeness, a sense of self-awareness, and a deep connection to your own soul, to your purpose, to your creator, that allows you to thrive whether you are surrounded by people or whether you are in a room all by yourself. True happiness is not dependent on who is or isn't in your life. It is dependent on who you are in your life. Now, let's get into the practical aspects of what it means to learn to be happy alone. There are several key principles that we must understand if we are to truly master this art. And the first of these principles is self-awareness. Self-awareness is the foundation upon which all personal growth is built. Without it, you cannot truly know who you are. And if you do not know who you are, how can you possibly expect to be happy with yourself? You see, many people spend their lives running from themselves. They fill their schedules with activities. They surround themselves with noise and distractions. They engage in relationships that keep them so busy they don't have time to confront their own thoughts, their own fears, their own insecurities. But if you are going to learn to be happy alone, you must first learn to face yourself. You must take time to be still, to be quiet, to reflect on your life, your choices, your desires, your pain, and your dreams. You must be willing to ask yourself the hard questions. Who am I? What do I really want? What am I afraid of? What is holding me back? What are the lies I have been telling myself? It is in this place of self-reflection that true growth begins. It is in this place of honesty that you can begin to strip away the layers of pretense, the masks that you wear for the world, and get to the heart of who you truly are. And let me tell you something, when you get to that place, you will discover that you are enough. You, all by yourself, without the titles, without the accolades, without the approval of others, you are enough. Many people fear being alone because they fear what they will find when they are left with only their own thoughts. But I encourage you today to embrace that process, to embrace the journey of self-discovery, even when it is uncomfortable. Because it is only when you truly know yourself that you can begin to cultivate the kind of happiness that is unshakable. The second principle we must understand is the gift of solitude. Now, I use the word gift intentionally because solitude is often seen as something negative. We live in a world that glorifies busyness. We are constantly told that we must be doing something, achieving something, going somewhere. And if we are not, we are made to feel as though we are wasting our lives. But let me tell you, there is great power in solitude. Solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is the practice of being alone with yourself. Not because you have no one else, but because you have chosen to spend time with your own soul. It is in solitude that you can hear the voice of your inner being, the voice of your Creator, and the voice of truth. In solitude, you learn to appreciate your own company. You learn to enjoy the simple pleasures of life without the need for constant stimulation or distraction. You learn to find beauty in the stillness, in the quiet moments, in the spaces between the noise. But more than that, solitude is where you gain clarity. It is where you can reflect on your life, your purpose, and your direction without the influence of others. It is where you can recalibrate, refocus, and realign yourself with your true path. Many of us are afraid of solitude because we associate it with isolation. But solitude is not isolation. It is a sacred time of introspection, of connection with your own spirit, of grounding yourself in the present moment. And when you learn to embrace solitude, you will find that you no longer fear being alone. In fact, you will begin to crave those moments of stillness because they become the wellspring from which your joy flows. The next principle I want to touch on is the cultivation of inner peace. If you are going to be happy alone, you must learn to cultivate a deep sense of peace within yourself. This peace is not something that comes from external circumstances. It is something that you must intentionally develop from within. Now, peace does not mean that everything in your life is perfect. It does not mean that you will never face challenges or difficulties. What it means is that you have learned to remain calm, centered, and grounded no matter what is happening around you. Inner peace comes from knowing that you are not defined by your circumstances. It comes from knowing that your worth, your value, and your joy are not dependent on what is happening outside of you. It comes from a deep trust in the process of life. A trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, and that you have within you everything you need to navigate whatever comes your way. When you cultivate inner peace, you become like a tree with deep roots. No matter how strong the winds of life may blow, you remain steadfast, unmovable, and grounded in the knowledge that you are enough. You are secure in who you are, and you do not need the validation of others to feel complete. Another key aspect of learning to be happy alone is discovering your purpose. You see, happiness is not just about feeling good in the moment. It is about living a life that is aligned with your true purpose. When you are walking in your purpose, when you are living out the reason for which you were created, you experience a deep sense of fulfillment that cannot be shaken by the ups and downs of life. Many people are unhappy because they are not living in alignment with their purpose. They are chasing after things that do not truly fulfill them, or they are allowing themselves to be defined by the expectations of others. But when you discover your purpose, when you understand why you are here and what you are meant to contribute to the world, you begin to experience a sense of joy that is not dependent on anything or anyone outside of yourself. Let me be clear, your purpose is not something that someone else can give you. It is not something that you can find by looking outside of yourself. Your purpose is something that has been placed within you by your Creator, and it is your responsibility to discover it, nurture it, and live it out. And here's the beautiful thing about purpose. When you are living in alignment with your purpose, you don't need the approval or validation of others to feel happy. You don't need someone else to tell you that you are enough, because you already know that you are. You are walking in the path that was designed specifically for you. And there is a deep sense of peace and joy that comes from knowing that you are exactly where you are meant to be. I want to talk about the importance of embracing your own wholeness. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that we are incomplete without the presence of someone else in our lives. We are told that we need a partner, a spouse, or a significant other to feel whole, to feel happy, to feel fulfilled. But I am here to tell you that you are already whole. You are already complete. You do not need another person to complete you. You are not half of a whole looking for someone else to make you whole. You are a full, complete, and beautifully created individual with or without the presence of a partner. Now, don't misunderstand me. Relationships are a beautiful and important part of life. But they are not the source of your wholeness. They are not the source of your happiness. They are a complement to it, an addition to the already full and abundant life that you are living. When you learn to embrace your own wholeness, you begin to see relationships in a different light. You no longer enter into relationships from a place of need or desperation, looking for someone else to fill a void in your life. Instead, you enter into relationships from a place of abundance, from a place of overflowing joy, because you are already whole within yourself. And this, my friends, is the key to not only being happy alone, but also being happy in your relationships. Because when you are happy alone, you are not placing unrealistic expectations on others to make you happy. You are not relying on someone else to meet your needs or to fill your voids. Instead, you are coming into the relationship as a whole person, ready to give, to serve, and to love without the expectation of being completed by the other person. Another aspect of learning to be happy alone is understanding the freedom that comes with independence. Independence is not just about being able to take care of yourself financially or physically, though these are important aspects. It is about emotional independence, the ability to stand on your own emotionally without leaning on others for your sense of worth or happiness. When you are emotionally independent, you are not easily swayed by the opinions, actions, or behaviors of others. You are not constantly seeking approval or validation because you know your own value. You are not afraid of rejection or abandonment because your sense of self-worth is not tied to someone else's acceptance of you. Emotional independence allows you to engage in relationships from a place of strength, not weakness. You are not dependent on someone else to fulfill you emotionally, which means you are free to love without fear, to give without expectation, and to engage without losing yourself in the process. Many people live in emotional bondage because they have not learned the art of emotional independence. They are constantly looking for someone else to make them feel good about themselves, to affirm them, to give them a sense of security. But when you learn to be happy alone, you free yourself from this dependence. You free yourself from the need to constantly be reassured or validated. You become your own source of emotional stability. And that is a powerful thing. When you are independent emotionally, you are not afraid of being alone. In fact, you see being alone as an opportunity for growth, for reflection, and for renewal. You do not feel the need to fill every moment with the presence of others because you have learned to enjoy your own company. You have learned to be your own source of joy, peace, and fulfillment. And that gives you a sense of freedom that many people never experience. We must also address the concept of loneliness. Loneliness is one of the greatest fears that many people have. The thought of being alone without companionship, without someone to share life with, can be terrifying for many. But I want to challenge you to redefine loneliness in your life. Loneliness is not simply the absence of people. It is the absence of connection with yourself, with your purpose, and with your Creator. You see, you can be surrounded by people and still feel incredibly lonely. You can be in a room full of friends, family, or even a spouse and still feel a deep sense of isolation if you are not connected to yourself on a deeper level. On the other hand, you can be physically alone and feel completely content, completely at peace, completely fulfilled because you have learned to connect with yourself. You have learned to find joy in your own presence and that connection with yourself eliminates the feeling of loneliness. The key to overcoming loneliness is not necessarily to surround yourself with more people. The key is to cultivate a deeper connection with yourself and your Creator. When you have that connection, you realize that you are never truly alone. You are always in the presence of the one who created you, who knows you, who loves you, and who has a purpose for your life. When you redefine loneliness in this way, you begin to see alone time not as something to fear, but as something to embrace. You begin to cherish those moments when you can be alone with your thoughts, alone with your dreams, alone with your Creator. Because those moments become the foundation for your happiness and your peace. One of the most powerful things you can do in life is to learn to enjoy your own company. Many people are afraid of being alone because they don't know how to be with themselves. They don't know how to sit in silence, how to enjoy the stillness, how to engage in activities that bring them joy without needing someone else to be there. But when you learn to enjoy your own company, you open up a whole new world of possibilities. You begin to discover interests, passions, and hobbies that you may have never explored before. You begin to engage in activities that bring you joy simply because they resonate with your soul. Not because you are trying to impress someone else or fit into someone else's expectations. Learning to enjoy your own company is about becoming your own best friend. It's about treating yourself with kindness, love, and respect. It's about giving yourself the time and attention that you often give to others. It's about learning to be okay with spending time with yourself and finding joy in that time. Many people avoid being alone because they are afraid of boredom. But boredom is simply an opportunity to explore new things, to engage in creative activities, to think deeply, and to connect with your inner self. When you embrace boredom as a gift rather than a curse, you begin to see that alone time is not something to be feared, but something to be cherished. At the heart of learning to be happy alone is the development of self-love. Self-love is not about being selfish or self-centered. It is about recognizing your own worth, treating yourself with kindness, and prioritizing your own well-being. Many people struggle to be happy alone because they have not learned to love themselves. They are constantly seeking love from others because they have not learned to give that love to themselves. But the truth is, if you do not love yourself, no amount of love from others will ever be enough. Self-love is about accepting yourself as you are, flaws and alls and all. It is about recognizing that you are not perfect, but you are worthy of love, respect, and happiness. It is about treating yourself with the same compassion and kindness that you would offer to someone else. It is about setting boundaries, taking care of your physical, emotional, and spiritual needs, and not allowing others to define your worth. When you learn to love yourself, you become your own source of happiness. You no longer rely on others to make you feel good about yourself because you have learned to affirm yourself. You have learned to look in the mirror and see someone who is valuable, someone who is worthy, someone who is enough. Self-love also means forgiving yourself for your mistakes. Many of us carry the weight of guilt, shame, and regret, and these emotions can prevent us from experiencing true happiness. But when you learn to love yourself, you also learn to forgive yourself. You learn to release the past, to let go of the mistakes you have made, and to move forward with a sense of grace and compassion for yourself. One of the most important aspects of being happy alone is building a life of meaning. Happiness is not just about feeling good in the moment. It is about living a life that is aligned with your values, your purpose, and your passions. It is about waking up each day with a sense of direction, a sense of fulfillment, and a sense of peace, knowing that you are living a life that is meaningful to you. Building a life of meaning is about discovering what truly matters to you, not what others say should matter. It is about identifying your core values, your passions, and your purpose, and aligning your life with those things. Many people are unhappy because they are living lives that are not aligned with their true selves. They are pursuing careers, relationships, and lifestyles that do not resonate with their inner being, and this creates a deep sense of dissatisfaction. But when you take the time to discover what truly matters to you, and when you build your life around those things, you begin to experience a sense of joy and fulfillment that is not dependent on anyone else. A meaningful life is not necessarily a life that is filled with grand achievements or material success. It is a life that is authentic, a life that reflects who you truly are, and a life that is lived in alignment with your deepest values. When you live a life of meaning, you do not need the approval or validation of others because you are already fulfilled by the knowledge that you are living in alignment with your true self. Another key to being happy alone is cultivating an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions we can experience, and it has the ability to transform our perspective on life. When you practice gratitude, you begin to focus on the things you have rather than the things you lack. You begin to appreciate the simple pleasures of life, the beauty of a sunrise, the sound of birds singing, the taste of a good meal, the warmth of the sun on your skin. You begin to see the abundance in your life, even in the small things, and this creates a sense of contentment and peace. Gratitude also helps you to shift your focus away from what is missing in your life. Many people feel unhappy when they are alone because they are constantly focused on the absence of a partner, friends, or social interactions. But when you practice gratitude, you begin to see the blessings in your alone time. You begin to appreciate the freedom, the peace, and the opportunity for self-reflection and growth that come with being alone. Gratitude is not just about being thankful for the good things in your life. It is also about finding the silver lining in the challenges. When you learn to be grateful for the lessons that life's difficulties teach you, you begin to see that even the moments of loneliness, pain, or struggle have value. You begin to see that everything you experience, whether good or bad, is contributing to your growth and your journey toward becoming the person you were meant to be. But let me tell you, learning to say no is one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or being selfish. They are about creating a healthy balance between giving, aiming, and preserving your own energy and well-being. They are about protecting your emotional, mental, and physical health by being clear about what you will and will not accept in your life. When you set boundaries, you are declaring that your peace and happiness matter. You are saying that you value yourself enough to prioritize your needs, even if it means disappointing others. And this is a critical part of learning to be happy alone, because if you are constantly allowing others to drain your energy, take advantage of your kindness, or violate your peace, you will never experience true happiness. Healthy boundaries also allow you to enjoy your relationships more. When you know where your limits are, and when you communicate those limits clearly and respectfully, you prevent resentment from building up. You engage in relationships from a place of mutual respect and understanding rather than from a place of obligation or sacrifice. But here's something important: boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from others. Sometimes you need to set boundaries with yourself. You need to create limits on how much negativity, fear, or self-doubt you allow into your mind. You need to be mindful of the thoughts you entertain and the habits that undermine your happiness. Creating boundaries with yourself might look like setting time aside for self-care, making sure you get enough rest, or limiting how much you compare yourself to others. It might involve letting go of self-critical thoughts and replacing them with affirmations of love and worthiness. By setting these internal boundaries, you are actively protecting your own happiness and nurturing a healthy relationship with yourself. An essential part of learning to be happy alone is deepening your connection to something greater than yourself. For many people, this means developing a relationship with their Creator or engaging in spiritual practices that bring a sense of peace, purpose, and connection to the divine. When you have faith, when you believe in something larger than yourself, you begin to see that you are never truly alone. Even in moments of solitude, you are connected to a higher power, a source of love, strength, and wisdom that guides you through life's challenges and uncertainties. Spirituality offers a profound sense of inner peace because it allows you to trust that your life has meaning and purpose beyond what you can see or control. It helps you to surrender the need for external validation and to find comfort in the knowledge that you are always cared for, always guided, and always enough. For those who practice faith, prayer, meditation, or contemplation can become powerful tools for cultivating happiness. These practices allow you to quiet the mind, center your thoughts, and tap into a deeper sense of peace that transcends your circumstances. When you regularly engage in spiritual practices, you create a foundation of joy that does not depend on other people or material possessions. You begin to realize that happiness is not something you have to chase or seek from others. It is something you cultivate from within with the help of your Creator. It is a state of being that is rooted in trust, gratitude, and a deep sense of purpose. Personal growth is another key aspect of learning to be happy alone. When you are committed to growing, evolving, and becoming the best version of yourself, you no longer view being alone as a limitation. Instead, you see it as an opportunity to invest in yourself, to explore new areas of development, and to challenge yourself in ways that will bring greater fulfillment and joy. You see, being alone gives you the space to reflect on your life, your habits, your goals, and your dreams without the distractions of other people's opinions or expectations. It gives you the freedom to ask yourself, who do I want to be? And how can I grow into that person? Personal growth can take many forms. It might involve reading books, attending workshops, or seeking mentorship in areas that interest you. It might involve learning new skills, developing better habits, or stepping out of your comfort zone to pursue your passions. It might mean working on your emotional intelligence, improving your relationships, or taking better care of your body and mind. Whatever form it takes, personal growth is a journey that you can embark on alone, and it is one of the most rewarding paths you will ever take. When you are focused on your growth, you realize that you do not need others to validate you or to fill a void. You are already whole, and your life is already full of purpose and meaning because you are constantly evolving and becoming. Personal growth also allows you to shift your focus from what you lack to what you can create. It empowers you to take responsibility for your happiness, knowing that you have the power to shape your life, your mindset, and your future. When you are growing, you are moving forward, and that movement brings a sense of excitement, fulfillment, and joy that is not dependent on external circumstances. In a world that constantly pushes us to do more, have more, and be more, it can be easy to fall into the trap of thinking that happiness comes from achieving great things or accumulating material wealth. But true happiness often comes from the simplest moments, the quietest pleasures, and the most ordinary experiences. When you learn to be happy alone, you begin to find contentment in the simplicity of life. You start to appreciate the little things that you might have overlooked before: the beauty of a sunrise, the sound of rain, the joy of a good book, or the peace of a quiet evening spent in reflection. Simplicity teaches you that happiness is not about constant excitement or grand achievements. It is about being present in the moment and finding joy in the things that are right in front of you. It is about slowing down, letting go of the need for more, and realizing that you already have everything you need to be happy. When you learn to find contentment in simplicity, you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop chasing after things that society tells you will make you happy, and you start to focus on what truly brings you joy. You realize that happiness is not about having a perfect life. It is about having a life that feels authentic to you. Simplicity also teaches you to let go of the need for constant stimulation. In a world that is always demanding our attention, it can be easy to feel restless or bored when we are alone. But when you embrace simplicity, you begin to find peace in stillness. You learn that you don't need to be constantly entertained or distracted to be happy. You can find joy in the quiet moments, in the spaces between the busyness, and in the presence of your own company. The strength in vulnerability. One of the most misunderstood aspects of learning to be happy alone is the role of vulnerability. Many people associate being alone with being strong, independent, and self-sufficient. And while these are important qualities, it is equally important to recognize the strength that comes from vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to be open, to be honest, and to be real with yourself and with others. It is the willingness to face your fears, to confront your insecurities, and to admit that you don't have all the answers. When you are vulnerable, you allow yourself to feel deeply, to connect with others authentically, and to experience life fully, even when it is uncomfortable. Being happy alone does not mean that you never experience pain, loneliness, or doubt. It means that you are willing to face those emotions head on without trying to escape them or hide from them. It means that you are willing to sit with your discomfort, to explore your inner world, and to learn from your struggles. Vulnerability also allows you to build deeper, more meaningful relationships. When you are secure in yourself, when you are happy alone, you no longer need to put up walls or pretend to be someone you're not in order to protect yourself. You can be open, honest, and vulnerable because you know that your happiness does not depend on how others respond to you. You are whole within yourself, and that wholeness gives you the freedom to be real. The power of acceptance. Another key aspect of learning to be happy alone is the power of acceptance. Acceptance is about embracing life as it is, not as you wish it would be. It is about letting go of the need to control every outcome and instead trusting that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. When you accept yourself, your life, and your circumstances, you free yourself from the constant struggle to make things different. You stop resisting what is, and you start to find peace in the present moment. You begin to see that happiness is not about getting everything you want, it is about being content with what you have. Acceptance does not mean that you stop striving for growth or improvement. It simply means that you stop fighting against reality. You stop wishing that things were different, and you start finding joy in the way things are right now. When you practice acceptance, you also learn to let go of expectations, both of yourself and of others. You stop holding yourself to unrealistic standards, and you stop expecting others to fulfill your every need. You begin to see that no one is perfect, and that is okay. You are enough as you are, and so is everyone else. Embracing change. Finally, if you are going to learn to be happy alone, you must learn to embrace change. Life is constantly changing, and resisting that change only leads to frustration and unhappiness. When you learn to embrace change, you open yourself up to new possibilities, new experiences, and new growth. Many people fear change because it represents the unknown. It takes them out of their comfort zone and forces them to confront the uncertainty of the future. But change is an inevitable part of life, and it is through change that we grow, evolve, and become more of who we are meant to be. When you are happy alone, you are not afraid of change. You see it as an opportunity to learn more about yourself, to discover new strengths, and to adapt to new situations. You realize that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace with open arms, because it brings with it the chance for renewal, transformation, and greater happiness. Embracing change also means letting go of what no longer serves you. This might be relationships, habits, or even mindsets that are holding you back from experiencing true happiness. When you are willing to release what no longer aligns with your values or your purpose, you create space for new, more fulfilling things to enter your life.